All right, so up next we have Lucinda Offord talking about how to start a Mars Society chapter.
So my name is Lucinda Offord. I'm the Executive Director of the Mars Society, and I was brought in to help out with membership and chapters and really everything about the organization here. But I needed help with getting back to supporting and creating new chapters, and it's a lot of work. Is there anyone here who's in a chapter? Okay, great, wow, a good portion. And someone who, and this is Brazil, who we hope to assist help start a chapter in Brazil. And we've grown quite a lot, but I'm going to call and get her on the phone. She's now our new chapter director, so I'm really happy to say that we've got a new person in charge of chapters with the Mars Society. Hi, Nora. I'm going to try to see if we can hear you. I realize now that it might not work. We put you up on the speakerphone. Are you there?
I am. Do I need to turn my speakerphone off?
No, not at all. Okay, so I'm just going to put you on the table and I'm going to go through the PowerPoint presentation. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. So this is the voice of Nora Hovey. She's now our chapter director for the Mars Society, and she's really going to start taking the reins on creating the chapters from here on out. I've been working with her for about a couple of years now. Okay. So let's talk about what it's going to take to make a chapter for the Mars Society. So one of the things that Dr. Zuber always talks about is moxie. Really having the initiative and taking leadership and taking action, basically. And that's really the foundation of our organization. I think that was mentioned earlier today in a talk that I heard recently about Art Harmon, and he was talking about how this organization is very action-oriented, and I totally agree with that. So if you're ready, and I get a lot of questions from people who attend our conferences about what is it that I can do to help forward humans to Mars. Well, one very fundamental thing you can do is start a Mars Society chapter in your area. So if you have initiative, then it's going to take some commitment. So you're going to need to put aside some time to actually put some thought and effort into creating a chapter for you. And especially, initially, Nora and I will be with you to get you through all the steps that it's going to take to get you through to starting a chapter in your inaugural meeting. But really what's going to matter is after you've had your inaugural meeting and keeping it going. That's one of the hardest things that we have chapters doing, is keeping it going. We've had some really successful chapters. We have some really great chapters that we can also turn you to get some assistance and that are people who are part of the Mars Society. And then persistence, keeping at it, because it's going to be not something very simple to do. You're going to have to kind of come out of your comfort zone. We've had some really amazing examples of chapters all over the world that have movie events or have big speaker events. It doesn't have to be something small. They are, but it can be all different types of ideas and things that you can do to have a chapter. It doesn't have to be anything grand. One example that I thought was really grand, and that was when I went to the UK. I was trying to restart the UK chapter, and one of the first things we did was we hosted a rover challenge in the United Kingdom. And Manchester actually gave us their city center to host a rover challenge, and we had rovers, I think, from over 13 different countries or came to the UK to participate in that. So it doesn't have to be anything like that. It could be actually something really small where you just do outreach to your local community or some event that you have. So how do you get the ball rolling? Well, you can contact us two ways. You can either email chapters@marssociety.org, and that goes to me and to Nora, or you can contact Nora Hovey directly. Her email address is nhovey@marssociety.org. What she's going to do is she's going to email you back, and we try to get a response within 48 hours. She's probably quicker than that, but as soon as she gets an email from you, she's basically going to send you a link. So we now have a form so that we can really look at what is it you want to create, and so we can really think about how is it you want to go about that, and how can we support you in that? And we also want to make sure that this is something you put some serious thought into. So we ask you different types of questions, just basic stuff, name and information, how do we contact you? You know, why are you interested in sending humans to Mars, things like that. What got you interested in the Mars Society? What are your preliminary ideas of how do you envision your chapter? And then we can help you from there. But what we really want to build is a relationship with that person who's inquiring with us, and support them getting these first steps going. So we do sort of evaluate what it is you're trying to create, and then we're going to walk you through those steps. So some of the preliminary steps, when you finally contact her, some of the things that we want you to think about for our chapters is, are you going to be community-based? Which means you could have a chapter running out of your house. You could have a chapter running out of a room that you check out of the library. Or, which is what we prefer, is having a university-based chapter. And that is, we think that university-based chapters are a bit more manageable because, one, the students can obtain funds from their university. So you just go through your student body offices and apply for funding. So universities are really good at supporting chapters that way that are part of the student body community. And also, you have a stream of students that come through your university, so it's easy to pick up members. And then the only difficulty with that sometimes is when those students graduate, make sure they have someone in place to take on the leadership roles in that chapter. And we always ask you, so that's one of the questions, are you going to be a community, or are you going to be a university? And one thing I left off there is, or are you going to be international? Because international chapters come with a whole other type of rules, because we can't tell you how are you going to start your chapter in your country, because the laws are different in your country for starting a nonprofit than they are in the United States. So, but we do our best to support you in how to follow those avenues locally. We ask you to have at least 3 people to start. And that's because we'd like you to already have in place a president, a treasurer, and a secretary. Someone who's going to take the leadership role in continuing those meetings and finding people. Someone who's going to help you with your funding and keeping track of the monies. And then a secretary, someone who can help with administration and take minutes at meetings and keep these organized. So that's the minimum amount of people that we ask you to start. Now, sometimes someone contacts us and there's nobody in their local area who wants to start a chapter. So what we'll do is we'll keep your name and your information, and when we get more people who fill out the questionnaire in your local area, we'll ask if we can connect you to them. And if you're happy to do that, then we'll put you in touch. So we're always going to ask questions about your information before we send it out. So we just want to be completely respectful of your privacy. We want to know, what are you going to call yourself? And we have a naming convention now, so we're trying to get all the chapters to start naming themselves the same way. So we're starting out chapter names with the Mars Society first, so either your Mars Society Ohio, or your Mars Society UK, or your Mars Society Berkeley, if it's a university. So that's our naming convention for chapters from here on out. And who will do what? So that's one of the very first steps, or the last part of the first section that we have you do. As soon as you have decided who your 3 people are, and who's going to do what, you send us their names and emails and their titles, if they've taken on titles, and then we're going to forward you on to the next step. So those first 4 questions have to be answered, have to be determined by you before we continue on. So once you decided, you know who you're working with, you know what kind of chapter you're going to be, that's when we can then understand and see that you're serious and you're getting organized, and then we can start to support you in other ways. So you're going to determine, when is your inaugural date? When are you going to have your first chapter meeting? What's it going to look like? What are you going to do? Where is it going to be? And we've had several different examples of this. Our own chapter in the UK, we use a workspace that we rented, or we had one of our members who was able to get us for free, so we met there. In NorCal, California, another chapter that I'm a part of, because I'm originally from Silicon Valley, we meet at one of our members' homes. So if you're willing to have, if you have a member who's willing to open up their home and have meetings there, that's what we do there once a month. Of course, if you're at a university, then you have places where you can go to at your university that you can check out to have hold regular meetings. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to have a speaker? You're going to invite Dr. Robert Zubrin to come and talk, or some other local people in the industry. You're going to have an all-day event. Are you going to have you can even have a movie marathon if you want to. It really could be as creative as you want to be interesting and compelling to get people to come to your first meeting. You also want to have a charter or a constitution. We actually have a template that we can give you so you don't feel that you have to come up, make something up out of the air. So we guide you through that. You're able to edit it and make it your own for if it works for your country or if it works for your area that you're in. So, but we would like you to have a charter or constitution for your chapter. And then once you tell us what date you've all agreed on, and you already have in place that you've secured the place, and you have a good idea of what you want to do and how you want that, we'll discuss that with you. We'll help you. We'll assist you. If you need some assistance in getting speakers, we might be able to help you with that, especially if it's someone within our organization. And then we will start to give you things like a website. So James Burk is here. He's our IT director. So we won't give you any information about giving you a personal website through our organization until we know that you're serious and yet you really have everything in place to have your inaugural meeting. And then we'll support you with the website so that your chapter can have the Mars Society official website. We'll allow you to have a Facebook page to start advertising and get prepared for your inaugural meeting, and so that you can also advertise and promote your inaugural meeting. And we will also help you get the word out. So our Director of Media and PR, Michael Stoltz, who's not here today, will start to promote your inaugural date, and we send out information about when that's going to happen. So we ask that you give it to us 1 to 3 months in advance so that we can prepare and get this rollout ready for you. And then once you have your inaugural date, we have an official recognition letter from the Mars Society signed by Dr. Robert Zubrin, congratulating you and welcoming you to the Mars Society chapter family. So those are pretty much the steps through creating a chapter. Easy peasy. So not so much, but when you have teamwork and like those 3 things, initiative, commitment, and persistence, and of course mine and Nora's assistance with getting you through this, it can be, for some of them, some people are so ready. Like one of the chapters that started this year was Ukraine. They had everything ready, they were so excited, and they had this huge, very successful inaugural meeting in the Ukraine that we were really amazed by everything that they had done. But of course it's not that easy, because you have to keep it going, and that takes a lot of work. And there have been times when we start chapters, but then they don't keep it going. So we're willing, there's not much we can do other than step in and try to support you and get you, if we have other contacts that come in, we'll send them your way, things like that. But really, you've got to keep the momentum going yourself. And then hopefully, since you have at least 3 to 5 people on your team, I mean 3 minimum, they can assist you in getting that going. So here's where your commitment comes in. You need to make sure you're scheduling monthly meetings. At the end of your inaugural meeting, you should already know when your next meeting is going to be and where. One example is our NorCal meeting happens, I think, the last Sunday of every month. And they always send out an email to everyone to remind them. And so I always know they're always going to have a meeting at Scott's house in NorCal every Sunday, every month. And as soon as I'm in the country, I'll go and visit them. You can start ongoing projects or concurrent projects, and that keeps people coming. So what's so great about NorCal, and I'm sorry to keep talking about them, but that was my initial first chapter, and they're extremely active. They're the chapter who is responsible for having the Stanford dinner that brought Elon Musk to our organization, for instance. They're also the chapter who helps create our sim suits for MDRS. And they'll even send several members out to MDRS to help maintain the hab and help to rebuild the suits and clean them, etc. So they have a project like that. And you could develop your own project or concurrent projects. And if you do that, that gets people involved. And if they have a certain position within that project, then they keep coming back and keep coming back. Then you can start to create brochures and start creating your chapter brand. Using our logo, hopefully some of our chapters, even international, build sort of a similar logo, and that's okay too. As long as your name says Mars Society Peru, for instance. And Mars Society India has created their own logo, and so you can get very creative with how you want to do that. We do encourage you to participate in local events, because even if you're at a university, what makes a difference is who you can reach immediately, and those will be the people and the events around you. Don't be afraid to only be a part of space events. You could be a part of, I recently did outreach at a country show where there were cows and lambs and they wanted some science there. So I brought them some science education and outreach. And people are still very interested in it because farming and agriculture is still science. Of course, this was space science, but that's okay too. And then we can help you look for new ideas or activities. So we've got a valuable resource, which is our ongoing chapters who've been around for years and who have given us a list of all the things that they have actually done, from start having a Mars Society conference for us, to just making little manipulatives for kids to play with, or coloring books, or anything very small, that just ideas that we can give you to help create something special with your chapter. So here are just some activities that you could do. You could host a rover challenge, says our URC director, University Rover Challenge, Kevin Sloan. So Kevin assisted our UK chapter in creating a rover challenge and in the city of Manchester, which was really amazing. That's a big, big project, but you don't have to start there. You can create Mars activities for kids, says our education director, Nicole Willett. And we can even put you in touch with her if there are some ideas that you're looking for, or with some of our other chapters who have already done activities. You can invite Dr. Zubrin to speak at your event. And he has told me again and again, Lucinda, if they can get me a room, I'll stay in someone's house and get me a plane ticket, I will be there. So if you want to start a chapter and have Dr. Robert Zubrin speak at your inaugural meeting or one of your eventual meetings, ongoing meetings, you'd be happy to be a part of that. You can inspire others with your space talents and skills, says me, which is what I really like to do. I like to inspire young people and even adults with doing hands-on activities, so that's what I like to do. Apply for your chapter to be a crew at the Mars Desert Research Station. Now, this is never guaranteed. You still have to apply, but we have had chapters, like NorCal has been out part of a crew at MDRS. There may have been other chapters that I'm not aware of at this point, but that's an absolute possibility. So you can prepare your crew to do a crew rotation at the Mars Desert Research Station, and that would be working with Dr. Shannon Rupert at the Mars Desert at MDRS. And if you have any questions, I have Nora on the line. I'm here available. You can always contact us at chapters@marssociety.org, and we'd be happy to assist you. Yes, right.
Is there a place on the existing website, Mars Society website, where you can see a list of all of these activities and chapters that you do?
So that's a really good point. We might have it available now, but I think we've been putting it behind a wall where members can go to. So if you become a member, which I think at this point is pretty easy to register yourself as a member, you have access to that document. But that's a really good point. We could just make it available under the chapters part and just put a list of examples of activities that other chapters have done. Okay, definitely. Nora, did you hear that? Okay.
I'm sorry. I was reading something.
That's okay.
Would you say it again?
No, I'll let you know later. Go ahead.
That's okay. Does this have to be a kind of fee to our society, like space, and to have a chapter?
So we just had this discussion of the steering committee with Dr. Zubrin, and he's not going to ask you for money. But if you want to collect dues to help support your ongoing event at your chapter, that's something you can do. And you're gonna have to figure out how to take care of that, I guess, tax-wise with wherever your chapter is. So, but yes, absolutely. You can collect dues from your members. One issue is also collecting emails, which now with GDPR, you've got to be careful with that. And maybe that's some more support that we can give on our website for chapters now with the new laws about privacy of people's emails and contacting them. Maybe that's some new support that we should add into our chapter. Starting, I'm going to come right back to you. Yes.
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, we talk, but I just wanted to check the provision from London.
Yes.
Do you have 6 chapters or 100 chapters? So we're trying to find, so you're going to.
Oh, well, we actually have the chapter president here from the UK, Stuart Woods, if you would raise your hand. Hi, so maybe you can have a chat with him, and I'm part of the UK chapter, so I'd be happy to talk with you too. Where are you based?
London.
Okay, well, I work in London.
All right.
Yeah.
Because on social media, but there was no updates on it.
There's no presence yet.
Well, maybe you can help us get that going. So that would really be great. So then we'll have a chat with you after the talk. Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry. If it comes back, you come up and talk to me anytime. And I've even called you in Brazil to have a chat with you, so I'm really glad you're here.
Here's everything. In some places it's necessary, other places necessary you create an organization, or can be like a movement, a social movement, and bring all people together, but not having a number in a specific country. It's necessary to create a country, can be a movement.
Well, if I'm not sure really what you mean by a movement. If your movement then turns into a chapter, that's something I can talk to you about. But I'm not sure. Do you have an idea or describe what you're trying to do?
Because in Brazil, maybe you create a company or association, an NGO, there's a kind of national number, but when it is created, there's a lot of laws applied and tax and social aspects, regulations, something about.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we want to create an organization with a national number,
Yeah.
it's easiest to
Find yourself a movement.
yes.
Yeah, then if that's what's going to work for you, then I don't see a problem with it. If we can talk about that more, because it is difficult working with international chapters and figuring out how that is. I haven't come across this movement in Brazil, so it'd be really great to have more discussions with you on how we can kind of label and figure it out. But it sounds like that's the route you might take with you in Brazil. Okay. Any other questions? Nora, is there anything you wanted to say?
Well, yes, I did.
Go ahead.
Anyone who has, who's going to email me as a result of this workshop, can you put something in the subject line to give me a heads up that that's why you're contacting me? Does that make sense? Or do your subject line in caps or something, just to alert me that our email is coming from this workshop?
Oh, okay, great. All right, thank you. Anything else?
No, not really looking for. I want everybody to email me just to say hi. In a position to start a chapter right now, but let's at least make some contact and get at least something started.
That's great. Thank you, Nora. Thank you so much. So Nora's really great and personable and very open to communication with you. So if you just want to make an inquiry with her, you're more than welcome to do that. And I think what we're going to do next is we're going to have, we're trying to restart the chapter council meetings that we used to start. So I'm going to have James Burk come on up. Thank you.
Alrighty. One other project that would be great for chapters is Marspedia. Did a talk on that about an hour ago here. That's definitely a project that we could get help from chapters on. Another one I'd like to do the next year is come up with a rover kit that any chapter could build, like with off-the-shelf hardware, like a Raspberry Pi or Arduino board and off-the-shelf chassis and things like that.
Seen the JBL thing on
Yes, I have. That's several $1,000s,
Yes.
and I'm thinking of something a couple hundred or less. So Raspberry Pi boards are like $20, $30 now. So cool. Also, another thing, our store. We have a Mars Society store. I hope you guys got one of these cards when you registered. If not, we have more up here. But we just launched this a couple days ago. And you can see some of the products we have available on the store for anyone to buy. One good thing about this version of the store is we're using a vendor that is extremely inexpensive but high quality. So these mugs, for example, cost the Mars Society less than $10. So does the t-shirt. The water bottle and travel mug are a little bit more than $10. But we can actually offer these to chapters at cost, and then they can use them to raise funds. So they can buy a mug for $9 and then go sell it for $15 and make money for the chapter that way. So if you're interested in that, if you want to do bulk orders with us or can help you navigate, we can also design products for you with your chapter logo or anything else you want to have on it. Let us know, because this is a good outlet for the chapters as well to raise money and to get the word out about what we're doing. So the chapter council, I'll give a little history about that. It is in our bylaws. I've been around with the Mars Society since the beginning, and back in the day, I think it was the second conference back in 1999, we formed a chapters council made up of all the people that were running chapters, and it was meant to be sort of a legislative type body for the Mars Society to help provide ideas to the steering committee and kind of be the boots on the ground for the public outreach efforts that we had. We also worked on a newsletter, so we would get all of the chapter updates that people were doing, and we would email them out in a newsletter. It was called the Red Planet Satellite Report. And so we did that for a few years. We also had a chapter coordinator as an official position. It was Bruce McKenzie, who's with the Mars Foundation now. And so we had all that going for a while, but then I guess just stuff happened, people dropped off, and it went defunct. So what we'd like to do today is get that going again. We're recording this session, and we're going to share this with all the other chapters that are out there that aren't at the conference today, to kind of let them know that we're starting that back up, and we want everyone to participate and have that be a vibrant body again, so that we can help make the Mars Society better. So at this point, you've heard Lucinda's pitch about starting a chapter. You've heard a little spiel from me. I'd like to turn it over to you guys to talk a little bit about what you think is and isn't working with your chapters, and how the Mars Society can help you with what your goals are.
Is Nora still online or not?
No, she's not. Do you want to speak with her?
Well, not directly, but I was hoping that she would be online so she could hear this discussion and comment.
I'm recording it, so we'll make sure she gets a copy of it. So any thoughts of how the Mars Society can help you?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Ed Heisler, Utah chapter. It's a community chapter, new, but we really expect that most of our initial support will come on the campuses. And we visualize the Utah chapter helping students where there's a real interest at a particular campus, helping them to organize a campus chapter. And they would be free, of course, and welcome to participate in more general means of a Utah chapter. Now we're just starting. We had our inaugural meeting April 14th. About 20 people were there. I thought that was okay. Some were hoping for more. Some were hoping there'd be 3 people there. But that was a good start. And what's interesting, well, 2 things. One, there is an incredible amount of interest right now, not just among students, but among working people, professors, etc., engineers, about going to Mars. I've never seen anything like it before. And partly that's due to movies like The Martian, the National Geographic program Mars, a second chapter is coming this fall. there's just a lot of, and of course, SpaceX, with the Falcon Heavy has contributed a lot, and the planned BFR to that interest. One of our new members who was at that initial meeting isn't a student. She's a barista, okay? And it happened to be the person who I and my wife get coffee from most mornings. She came to the meeting, is really fired up, has been very active in Comic-Con, by the way, in Salt Lake, dressing up and all that for Comic-Con. And she went down, volunteered to go down camping for the rover contest and handled our media relations there. And I understand she did an excellent job.
What's your name?
Her name is right.
It's included you.
Okay. And she had an idea, but it was just too late to act on it regarding the Comic-Con conventions. The Mars Society, if we give them enough notice, can actually rent a room, have a speaker, have it publicized at a Comic-Con convention. It can be a panel, it can be a speaker, several speakers, and have a literature table. So I went to apply, and we missed the cutoff date, June 10th, by a week. But definitely we're going to do that next summer. And this is something I think all the chapters should check out. I think it would be great if our president could speak at one of these Comic-Con conventions. We take care of the airfare, come on in, we'll publicize the hell out of it at the convention. He could get, or other speakers for that matter, could get a very big attendance. So it's something we got to do.
Our NorCal chapter has definitely gone to San Jose Comic-Cons. They used to do that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it's something that, but Comic-Cons have become like
They're very big.
a whole new,
Yes,
they're really.
very-
It's like the Super Bowl now. It's just
It
too
is.
big for itself.
So
Yeah.
that's a really great suggestion to get back into the Comic-Con audience. And if you want to invite Dr. Zugerin,
Right.
you definitely can.
Just one more point, second point, and I raised it with Jim the other day. We need literature. For our inaugural meeting, we had to spend like a couple $100 to photocopy stuff from the Mars website. And we need a brochure, and I think you're holding up a copy right there. We used to have one, I understand, in the Mars Society. A brochure. I'd like to have several thousand of those at a Comic-Con convention at our table. We need that to get the word out. A nice, attractive piece of literature, a brochure. Have a place on the back, a blank space on the back, where we can use a stamp to put the name, the email address, the Facebook address, maybe a phone number of the local Mars Society chapter, so that people can directly, if they get this, oh, this sounds kind of interesting, I think I'll call them up or do an email. We need something like that that can be used effectively on a local level. And then our chapters can pay, to figure out what the charges would be. That'd be a lot easier for us to pay national or international Mars Society for 1,000 copies, 5,000 copies, than having every chapter trying to produce one, and maybe not as nice on their own. Okay, that's something else.
Yeah, so thank you, and we definitely, we've had those for a long time, and we had it blank on the back just like you described. So we used to have a director of chapters and members, and in 2009, she sort of left, and it's been really difficult to pick that up. So thank you. We could definitely get that started again.
So this particular brochure I'm holding up is from 1999. We used to do these, and it's a great brochure that has the founding declaration of the Mars Society printed on it so people can read the whole thing, and they can actually sign it.
Updated, and we're great.
And it talks a little bit about the Arctic Research Station, FMARS, and it also has a membership form, so you can fill this out and mail this in. So we need to update this. Unfortunately, we don't have the source asset of this. And I've actually given this to a couple graphic design volunteers in the last year, and they were like, yeah, I'll go work on it, no problem, and then they never do. So this is a high priority for me to make sure that this gets done soon. But yes, we would like to offer this brochure to all the chapters. They can just order it from us, and we'll tell them how much it is. And maybe we could help pay for it. I think back in the day, we would just send these out to all the chapters.
Yeah.
But we can certainly get that going again. I think this is a no-brainer, you know, and I love your idea of have a blank space so that the chapter can stamp something or glue a sticker on that has their information, so they can hand this out, but it's their chapter brochure as well as the Mars Society's. I think it's a great idea.
And that was one of the reasons why initially I had planned the store, was to make some funds for that so that we could keep producing chapter things that help support the chapters, like the buttons and the brochures and everything else, and the posters. That was one thing that Nora and I had been talking about for a couple of years about the store. So,
Question or comment?
Yeah, I'm
Floor's
sort
yours.
of interested in starting a branch, and I kind of started doing that last year. You know, I came here last year, and I walked up and introduced myself to Dr. Zuberman, and I said I'm the oldest guy doing launches at Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is true. And he thought I was crazy. He just kind of looked at me like a nut job. You know, I'd love to have Dr. Zuberman come and, you know, get a group or to speak to a group at Vandenberg Air Force Base. Yeah. Have you ever heard of it?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called, you know, Falcon 9s go out of there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Insight just
I
launched.
stirred 30 hits. And I talked, you know, and I sat there talking to the man who's in charge of Insight. I was joking with him about the guys down at the Circle K across from the hospital where I work, and I was talking to him the morning of that launch, and nobody seems to be interested. You know, but anyway, I'd love to have Dr. Zuberin come to Vandenberg Air Force Base. Does he have a secret clearance? I'd love to get him on base to do a watch and launch.
I don't know
I
if
could
he
get
has.
him on base to watch and launch.
He definitely is
I
under
could
NDA
show
on
him
stuff,
places
but I don't know
where
if he has
go
a
watch it.
U.S. government
But he
clearance.
didn't seem to be interested last year.
Yeah. So if you want to create something as an inaugural event, and we can ask him,
Right.
pick a date, and we can figure that out, and then get
Right.
it.
So this time last year, we did not have a LA-based chapter, and that was one of the things that we've accomplished in the last year is we've started up the SoCal chapter, which Leonard Ortiz is not here today, but will be here later on in the conference, is the contact for the LA chapter, the SoCal chapter. And they have,
be for the Central Coast.
sure, but it's driving, like it's, you guys are, you know, satellites of each other basically.
Right.
So, and he can certainly help promote any events you have in Vandenberg.
Is he here now?
Like I said, he's not here now, but he will be here, I believe, on Saturday. And there's a pretty robust chapter now in LA.
Right.
They're doing a lot of projects. They're actually going to try, I think they're trying to start a TV channel. I think Alistair would know more about this than me, but yeah, they're definitely can help get you going with a chapter in Vandenberg, around Vandenberg.
How do I contact him?
I'll give you his email.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? So,
Others on the back, James?
Dave, go ahead. You have the floor, sir.
So Jim, are you going to be supporting chapters and their websites, or are you just going to turn them over to a prep area so they can develop their own website?
So what I've been able to do in the last couple of years is come up with a standard offering for chapter websites. It's a WordPress website with a custom theme, and we will host it on our DreamHost account. We'll set up a subdomain for them. So, you know, seattle.marssociety.org, and we will then hand that off to the chapter contact to maintain. And they can take it however they want. They can change the design or do whatever they want, post whatever they want on it. But WordPress is a pretty easy package to learn to maintain a website relative to others. And so, yeah, we will kind of offer a turnkey solution for them once they go through Lucinda and Nora's onboarding process. Then that's part of what they get these days. So, and for those chapters out there that have a website, you know, that's been going for a long time, maybe it needs a fresh coat of paint, we can certainly help them do that as well. We can give them a new WordPress website and the theme. And over the last few years, I've been trying to talk to everybody to make sure that they're still active with their website and give them the help they want. But there's a lot of websites out there, you know, that are still 15 plus years old because they like it, you know, they're fine. NorCal's one. But no, we're here to help them. And one of the dangers we always have is a chapter goes defunct, and then their website goes down, and then nobody knows it even existed, and then there's people trying to look for it. The worst is when someone goes and registers a domain, and then they lose it, and then there's like some porn site on there. So that's actually happened a couple times. So we'd like to have the websites be hosted by us, just so that we can make sure that they have continuity. If the chapter contacts, get busy and aren't able to help out, we can help find new chapter contacts and keep the website continuity. So, and it's kind of the same with the Facebook pages. There's a lot of Facebook pages that, like Russia's one, where it's hard for us to contact the owners. So, go ahead.
So do you want to set up virtual chapters or chapters that have a special interest that are over a large geographic area?
I think the answer is probably yes.
Yeah, we have had virtual chapters. We had one in Philadelphia. So he was doing kind of online meetings and workshops. I don't think he's doing them anymore, but we have gone down that route, yes.
Scandinavia is an example of one we're trying to get going right now. That's sort of a virtual chapter because it's 7 countries involved.
We also have a kind of an emerging chapter called LATA, which is basically 4 Latin American countries who each already have their own chapter, but they want to create an umbrella chapter so that they can collaborate within Latin America with each other, which I think is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. And then back in the day, we had the youth chapter, which was basically, everybody under in their 20s or earlier could be in that chapter, and they had a bunch of stuff going on. Certainly, there's precedent for that. Question?
Yeah, just a quick one. Do you have any real-time communication like Slack or?
Yes.
We do use Slack within our organization, but do you mean as a chapter or?
Yeah, like or anyone that wants like from the public to join it.
So chapters are free to sign up for whatever they want to use. We can help you. We can guide you.
No, I mean more like a global one, where everyone.
So there's communication between chapters around
between the world.
Create like a Mars Society Slack, Mars Society chapter
Mars
Slack.
Society global.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So Facebook is a little bit like that these days. I mean, there's a lot of different Facebook pages, and then we will share posts between them all. But I like that idea. Slack. I mean, we do use Slack internally. It's very active right now for Mars VR project, for example. But we have a chapters channel in there. I think there's about 200 people on the Slack these days, and we have a free license to it, so it can be unlimited.
We could probably make a chapter section for that.
There already is one, actually.
Well, I mean for our
Oh.
external.
Yeah, we could. Yep. Guess.
Yeah, consider setting up a international Mars Society subreddit, official, where the Mars Society can have statements by Dr. Zubrin, statements that we publish at our website from the Mars Society, but get it out on Reddit as official statements and information from the International Mars Society. And people from all over the United States and much of the world can contribute to that too, and what they're doing in their country, etc.
Would you like to help us set that up?
I stepped in it.
Take the initiative, right?
I can do that if you don't want to.
Okay.
I personally don't know a lot about Reddit. I've tried to use it a couple times in the last few months and been very disappointed. But
I've filled in Michael. I don't know, will he be here?
Michael's not going to be here this year, unfortunately.
I'd
Yeah.
love to have an AMA with Dr. Zubrin.
Yeah, that would be great. I think that would get a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to get your help.
Yeah, great.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. We have to change email.
Go ahead, David.
So can the local chapters get a listing of the Mars Society members in their geographic area?
Yes, they just need to ask us for it, and we've given those out in the past. We have to go through some processes with our administrative director to get that, but yes, we do provide that.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Do we give the chapters the list of contacts in their area, the members in their area?
Yeah, we have to be careful with that.
Right.
But, yeah.
We do, but we are careful about it.
Yeah.
That's the short answer.
Like, we'll send out a list for you, and then without saying the emails, I imagine that's what we do. But we can give you their emails directly.
Unless they give you permission to.
Exactly. So we would do it on your behalf, and then they can respond to you, like if you ask them a question, can we contact you, then you can do that. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Anything else you guys would like to talk about?
I definitely like to speak more with you, because I love the idea of the Vandenberg.
Pardon?
I love the idea of the Vandenberg
Well, it'd be
chapter.
nice if
Yeah.
it was.
Any other questions?
You'll have another person here from Vandenberg that runs the PR.
Oh.
You'll be here on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
James Spellman.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I ask you something else?
So one other thing I'll throw out, I'm involved with another organization called the Moon Society that also has chapters, and one of the projects they did in the past was called the Space Chapter Hub, which was basically a website that had all these different resources for space chapters to use for NSS chapters, Mars Society, Moon Society. Planetary Society doesn't have chapters, but we're going to actually dust that off and revise it pretty soon. And it had things like presentations you can give to schools about space. I've done a couple of those myself in the last year. Always really rewarding. And then just, resources people can use to start a chapter, whether it's for the Mars Society or anywhere else, just to help out.
Do you provide any resources currently for the chapters? Do you need like a framework to run an event or any kind of content?
Well, we could help you with contacts if you're trying to get speakers for an event, but we don't help you locally get a venue.
No, I meant more the actual content, educational content about Mars. So saying if I want to run an event specifically, I don't have to create my own content, but there's something.
Yes.
Yes, we can give you resources
Yeah.
to create activities for if you're going to do like outreach or something. Yeah.
So we have a presentation deck that's kind of old, but it definitely does the job to talk about the Mars Society, to talk about Mars Direct and settling Mars someday. So that's out there. There's a lot of information you can pull from our website as well. It's always good to tailor those a little bit to your audience, not just use as a canned one. But we definitely have those, and so.
Do you still have the Zubrin's Mars Society direct talk that was available for use for chapters?
Yeah.
It was up there for a while. I don't know where it is.
I've got it. Yeah.
Is it downloadable?
I have a version that he did just a couple years ago. But yeah, it's downloadable. Yeah, it's up on the Next Gen server.
Oh, okay. It's not accessible from the website right now.
Okay, well, we'll fix that.
Unless I haven't looked under the members section for a while, but maybe it's under there.
No, I don't think it's on there, but we'll put it up there. That's a good question. We should have like a common location for all that stuff.
It's a perfect thing,
Mm-hmm.
Not one of his hour-and-a-half ones, one of his 30-minute ones.
Right.
That can be framed within an hour meeting of a chapter.
Right. Yep. I was gonna say something else. I can't remember now. It's kind of getting late in the day.
Yeah.
Downloadable materials.
Yep.
You have. The brochure could be downloadable so
Yep.
somebody can print it out.
Yep.
Now.
Yeah, we will do that once this is updated. We'll have a PDF of it people can pull down. I've created a bunch of flyers in the last year for various things. We should have like all that archived somewhere. Yeah. So.
Don't put the chapter's information on the part that gets torn out to be sent.
Right.
For registration.
Right. Cool. Anything else?
PowerPoint presentations.
Yep.
And that's back from Peter Cook's.
Yeah. Well, that's the one I just mentioned. We have a PowerPoint deck. It's kind of old, but it's one that was done way back in like 98, 99.
Yeah, Robert won't let us change that because it has his original slides from Lockheed Martin that he covets.
No, there's actually a Mars Society deck that's like has this blue kind of starry background.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. It's a little dated now, but the content's effective. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you
Yeah, thank you guys.